able to get media exposure. For every person that's been raised in the hood and overcome obstacles and had a challenging life growing up, there's somebody else in Chicago with that story, Detroit with that story, Atlanta with that story. So what makes your story compelling? And that's what you have to sit down and do the work. You have to assess, because if you get down to it, a story is just that. It's an account of past events in someone's life that have evolved you into what you are now. So it's like, your challenges may have made you Tyler Perry, or it may have made you Barack Obama, or it may have made you a teacher who teaches in a charter school. Whatever your story is, you have to determine, one, what that story is going to be, why it's interesting to somebody such as a reader on a blog or on the Atlanta Journal or Good Day Atlanta, and what is it about you specifically that you could put out there? What can you be transparent about? I've had clients who, we may be working on a cookbook, or they may be working on their next, like a fragrance. They're launching like a fragrance. But in order to get the story, we had to go deeper. We had to come up with the fact that, oh, I was adopted and my sister and I were separated. And these are real accounts. And it was a twin. And they found themselves later. And they found each other later in life. And so when the twins reconnected, the one twin was an entrepreneur and inspired the other twin. So now you have a story, because you have a story of coming from, a disconnection, connecting with somebody in your family, which may appeal to other twins or other people, and may, relate to somebody's heartstrings. However, you have to get that story out in order for it to be relative to your particular audience is what you start with, because that is what's going to go into your media kit, that's what's going to go into your bio, or that sort of thing. So number one, the first thing you have to do is determine what is the story that you want to tell. And one, what is it that you're trying to present to your audience? For instance, if you are, let's say you're starting a catering business, and you sit down and you say, well, look, I would like to be featured on Good Day. Okay, you're going to have to do your homework first and see what kind of stories they're telling on Good Day Atlanta. What is it that people are going to be wanting to see when they're getting ready for school, when they're getting ready for work? What makes you, stop what you're doing and pay attention to the screen when someone's on there? Okay, this is a story about this person or that person, and then see how you can make that relative to what you're doing. Okay, my restaurant that I'm going to open, or my catering business that I'm going to open, is going to be strictly vegetarian. Okay, so my vegetarian audience would be interested in what? Seeing what I'm putting in the food, because if it's a vegetarian, wouldn't the part of the story be the fact that they're conscious, or the fact that they may have converted recently or have been a lifelong, vegetarian? Whatever it is that you think is going to appeal to the audience, put that down as a bullet point, because those are the things you're going to have to include in your story. As from a PR perspective, when we're doing this with clients ourselves, sometimes you'll be surprised by what it is that you'll put out there and you'll put on paper that may be very interesting. It might be 17 things that you come up with. Like, what is it so exciting about my story? What is it so compelling about my story that someone would want to see me on television? And then you start writing about, I've always been a vegetarian. Oh, I'm lactose intolerant, and my family and my children are. Oh, then you start building another story upon that. It's like, oh, okay, so it's for people. Now you have a niche more so, not just vegetarians, but people that couldn't even take dairy. Okay, so now when you're pitching to a producer, which we'll get to in a bit, then you have something to say, well, look, I am geared towards this audience. I am geared towards vegetarians. I'm geared towards people that are concerned about their children and the food that they're going to be putting, in their bodies. And then by the byproduct of you pitching this particular story from that angle is that you'll get to talk about your business, but you're also meeting a need. You have a mom that's getting her kid ready for school, and they know that they can't have dairy. So now I'm listening to you. So how do I get your cookbook? But it's a byproduct of you building upon a story that's already there. Okay? And that just works itself across the board in all. It doesn't matter what you're selling and what you're pitching. And that's the first step. We actually take a meeting, for instance, if you were to be a client of pretty much any agency, you would first come in and they would say, hey, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? Tell us a little bit about yourself. And I always kind of make people write their story, just write it from your perspective, because what I can do is create a voice for the media, but I can never tell your story,
So
Adrian,
April,
okay, I was about to say, we just keep flowing.
yeah. So, well, first of all, guys, You have April Love is one of the premier people in Atlanta to answer your questions. So if you're gonna sit there and not ask your questions and this free training, then man, this is crazy. But April, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I've heard in the story development phase, you should also think about, you mentioned thinking about the target audience of the particular um, outlet that you're trying to reach.
Hmm.
But what about the specific customer? So, for example, if I'm doing, okay, one of the things I do is Facebook ads, right?
Hmm.
So, ideally, the people that I want to reach are, small businesses that want to run Facebook ads. But I should customize that reach based on the media outlet, correct? So, if I'm on um, I don't know, a sports radio station, right?
Hmm. Right.
Um, and again, that's a stretch, but I know that there are a lot of men who listen to sports radio stations.
Okay.
So should I assume that if I'm on there, I can talk about people who own gyms and people who own sports, maybe sell sports equipment or hunting equipment or you know what I'm saying? Like should I if I'm being if I'm being interviewed on that type of station talking about Facebook ads, should I cater my conversation or should I tell a story that's relevant to that audience? Because, I mean, as you know, we all have like several stories that can relate to different things in different parts of our lives. How do you do stuff like that? Or do you just prepare for each one?
Yeah, I think you need to, especially when you're starting out, and the exposure that you're getting when you're not established or when you're trying to build an audience is very, very important that you hone in on those particular people because you're not going to be getting mass audiences initially. So if you have
Mhm.
an opportunity to go on a radio show, you need to first ask the producers, what is they know these things. You know what I'm saying? If it's a blog or if it's, let's say, a publication, print publication, they know what their
Mhm.
demo is. So you say, well, hey, ideally, who is your audience? And they'll say, oh, we're about 70% male and we skew a little bit young, millennials until about 40 years old. And then you need to kind of like do your own due diligence to create something that's going to appeal to them. It wouldn't make any sense for you to go on and talk about, hey, creating ads that appeal to baby boomers per se. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Per se.
right.
You need to do your homework first of all and figure out, okay, who do they cater to? And let's say you're scheduled to go on there next month. For a week, you need to study, okay, what are they talking about on this radio? What are they talking about in
Mhm.
this program? And then be very specific about who because like, for instance, like a V103, when you have, it's a whole different audience than Ryan Cameron has, than Big Tigger has, than Greg Street has. So you need to say, okay, if Don Radio Guy is going to be the person that interviews you, you need to say, okay, who's Don talking to? Who does he speak to? Let me go check out his social media. Who follows him? Who likes his stuff? And then go
Right,
in with an intentional agenda to speak to those people. Okay,
right,
meet them
right,
where
right.
they are. And let's say if that were the case and they do skew younger and he has like this 30 something, 20 something year old audience, then you can't just go in there talking about Facebook. You got to go in there talking about Instagram as well. Okay, and then
Right.
um and then get them engaged. So that because if I and I call it being very flat. If it's something that I go in there, I'm ill prepared, I don't have my client prepared, they go in there blind, they're speaking to an audience that's not even clear about who they're speaking to, it's very robotic. It's just like I go here and I talk to you about this, I go here and I talk to you about this. Because, like I said, the
Hmm.
story's never going to change. If you're 32 years old and you are a social media marketing manager and you want to build more business and they want to bring you on as expert, the story hasn't changed. You're still 32 years old. You still went
Right,
to whatever school you went to. You're still selling the same product, but you got to just sell the story differently. Okay.
right,
So the story doesn't change, but how you deliver the story changes. So if I'm talking to, for instance, like the A3C, that was an opportunity, let's say, to go and do an on-site podcast with them. So you're dealing with musicians. So musicians want to do what? They want to know how to get their music to the masses. So then you create your story to appeal to them and say, look, this
right,
is how I do what I do, but let me give you a case study of an artist who really propelled their career via YouTube or or Instagram or whatnot.
right,
But if you're going on, let's say, back on that sports radio station, then the story kind of like switches to kind of meet the need of the person. Like, oh, I'm talking to people that are avid sports fans, and let me see how to engage you when it comes to meeting you where you are, like you're watching the games on Sunday. So this is how we target you. You see how like the story stays the same, but the content just shifts a little bit.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So all this is relevant. And I'm picking your brain because we're getting ready to do this.
Okay. Yes.
But
Absolutely.
this is great information. So looks like we have a question. I'm gonna unmute some microphones. Let's see. Hey B, are you there? Benitra? Hey, it looks like you had a question. Go ahead. Did you have a question? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. It looks like we have a bad connection with Benitra. We have another
Yeah.
question. Hey, B, if you have a question, go ahead and type it in the chat window and I will ask it. We have another question from Angie. Angie, will you go ahead and unmute your microphone and ask your question?
Am I unmuted?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Hi, April.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you again, AJ, for having another exciting webinar. My question was, I do have a radio show, and I'm trying to find out ways. How can I find out who my audience is?
Okay, where? Well, okay, there's a couple ways, and I think actually, like AJ can chime in on that with
Okay.
quantifying that data. But because you're actually like, let's say you're a target, you're a media outlet, you're someone who I would have in my database. Now, if I called you and I wanted to know, okay, I want you and my client to come on, who is your audience? You could do that, and I'm gonna let AJ tell you the digital aspect of it. But you can
Okay.
do it where you can get your people engaged by doing things like SurveyMonkey or
Hmm.
kind of figuring out how to actually have them give you their information. There are opt-in ways that you can set up things to gather that information, that intel from people. You can find out what zip codes they're in. You can find out what cities they're in. You can find
Oh,
out what they ideally do through these different means of digital surveys. And that information is going to be invaluable to you, especially when you get to the point where you build your audience and you're bringing in advertisers.
Right.
So
right.
but I mean, AJ knows that like the back of his hand. I'm gonna
Yeah,
let him
so
pick up where I
so
get left off.
Angie, a few
Yep.
questions before I try to answer that.
Okay.
Um, what outlet are you streaming with?
You mean what is my radio station's name?
Posted on who?
Yeah, I mean, where is it hosted? Like, where do I have to
Uh,
log to
oh,
listen to?
okay. WTNTradio.com. It's an internet radio show.
Okay, so WTNT.com. All right,
W,
now I'm going. If I go to let me go look at WTNT real quick right now.
w, it's WTNTradio.com.
Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna look up
Okay.
WTNT radio. Now,
Yeah.
with online radio, traffic that is driven online, it comes from what's called IP addresses,
Okay.
and that information can give you data on where your audience lives, right?
Okay.
So, whoever is
Sorry, guys.
hosting, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm having feedback. I'm driving, AJ. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine. I'll put you on mute so you don't have the circular loop. All right. So wherever your stream is hosted, that hosting gets hit by different IP addresses, which is the address of where people are actually listening from. Okay. Now, some demographic data will be stored in that IP address, i.e., location, and that can be tracked all the way down to physical address, all the way down actually to MAC address, which is the address of a particular computer, right? So I can track an IP address directly to a computer that's located in a house, that's located in a neighborhood, in a county, right? And then I can take that information and I can deduce from that um, the demographics of that particular area, right? So, for example, if it's a house that is on People Street in the West End, then chances are the listener is an African American, right? Now, that is not 100% accurate, Um, but you know, you can take that data and go all the way to that house, and then you can just find out who owns the house, and you can say, okay, that's owned by an African American. Now, if there's renters in there, there are a ton of different variables. So, but to answer your question in short, that information should be provided by wherever your stream is hosted or wherever the data is streaming from. They get information as to what IP addresses are hitting that stream when you're live. Okay. Now, to what April said a minute ago, the other way you can do it is you can drive your traffic through different call to actions and you know, freebies and giveaways to, you know, hey, fill out this survey and you can win, you know, whatever, right? So give them something for free, have them fill out a survey, and that's a way that you can manually collect the data, and it's less of a process of going through the technology piece that I just explained. So those are just the two quickest ways off the top of my head that you can figure out who your listeners are. Yeah. Yes, that is the answer.
Yeah, that summed it up. Absolutely.
The end.
Yes.
All right. Angie, did that answer your question pretty good?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. All right, back over to you, April. April.
Okay. So yeah, so basically to close that little part out about the story and starting with the story, you just have to make that story compelling and just know that that story is going to continue to evolve. Because think about day one, you know, the story, the first day and the first opening of the first anything from Starbucks to Walmart to Whole Foods, and how there's been an evolution of a story. So your day one story is just what it is. You did whatever you did to launch your radio show, or you did whatever you did to launch your blog or write your book, and put that in the most compelling format possible, and then just start to tailor it to the audience that you want to identify, that you would like to gain exposure from. Okay? And then let's move on. The next thing up is to establish goals, and when I say make them realistic, I mean that literally. And I would also say that it makes really good sense to create some kind of format to get yourself organized. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're actually in the process of, let's say, launching something or creating your oh, I'm looking at AJ's screen. Oh, you're doing that.
Yeah, I'm looking for questions. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
Excuse my ADD.
yeah. No worries. So yeah, I use Basecamp. I know other people that use other project management tools, but I think checklists and project management tools are very important when it comes to organizing your life and beginning to do it yourself, as you know, to create this media storm that you're trying to create. And you want to make sure that that stays manageable. So goal setting. Once you have that story written over here and you know, okay, I'm getting ready to launch, and this is my story, and this is what I want people to know about me and my services or my products, then it's like, okay, let me start to goal set and figure out, okay, from a media perspective, what is realistic. Number one on your list should not be getting on the cover of anybody's magazine or getting on anybody's morning show. Now, don't let me be a detractor or, you know, or disrupt your idealistic view, because you may have put it on there on your vision board to be a New York Times bestseller, to be interviewed by Oprah, all these things, and those things are possible, absolutely, but not necessarily day one. Okay, day one goals are to finish your media kit, you know, and you can Google that. You can see some real good examples online of a media kit. A media kit is, if you're, let's say, like AJ, for instance, we'll use him as a case study. If he is he's selling himself and his services first. So therefore, you just need a nice bio. It'll be great to graphically enhance this media kit. So it's a downloadable PDF that you can send out, you know, when you get in contact with, you know, the editor at Rolling Out, or the editor at the AJC, or the producer who books for Good Day Atlanta. You will send them this media kit. And sometimes it'll have a quick pitch in it, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But initially, it's just your bio. It's just an overview of what services or scope of services or product that you offer, a very nice, well-done headshot, Hey, AJ, a nice headshot. Has everybody seen his new
I
headshot?
got one now,
Yes,
bro.
you in the game. So a nice
I finally
headshot,
got
and
one.
you want to have that ready to go. That's tight, that's well done, and that is ready to go. All right. So then you put, okay, I have my downloadable media kit. I want to create my first list um of targets. I might say my target is, let's say once again, we'll continue to use AJ. It might be business radio. It might be something at WAOK. It might be a morning show because he could say, well, look, I want to target stay-at-home moms. You could pitch that to the producer because sometimes there's always, I think, an entrepreneur inside of a stay-at-home mom or whatever the audience is that he determines because he has to sit down, like I said before, create the story and figure out who he wants to sell that story to. And then we got to see what they're listening to. Are they listening to podcasts? If so, you might want to put like book my first podcast opportunity. Then guess what? You got to research and do your due diligence and figure out what podcasts appeal to your audience. Okay. I want to have some influencer outreach because if you have a product, you might want to run a contest on your particular social media and start to garner some impressions and a following on your page prior to getting any media exposure. Because if let's say they go to your page and you have 2 followers, I mean, the buy-in is not really going to be there. You know what I'm saying? You kind of got to build all this stuff at the same time. So you start to engage in a social media perspective. So you put that on your goal list. Secure 2 content contribution opportunities because you may find, for instance, there are a lot of social media, business, entrepreneur, the Urban League, the NAACP. There's so many people that have blogs where AJ could be a very reputable contributor. So he might say, look, I want to write an article and I would like it submitted. He could take that same article and have it placed on 3 different blogs. And at that point, he has impressions because he has that audience who caters to that particular blog. And then he has what we call clippings. Okay, he has tear sheets. He has actual editorial placements. And that will be added to his website. That can be added to his media kit. And it brings more validity when other people, oh, Black Enterprise featured him. Oh, the Huffington Post, featured him. Oh, Entrepreneur Magazine featured him. And then you got all those things that give you more and more credibility. Okay, so you might want to put that on your list. Secure my first strong media placement. Put that on your list. You need to keep these goals ever before you. I have goal lists that I look at every day. I mark them off or I enhance them. I say, well, look, I'm 1 step closer to Oprah. Then I start working. It'd be, one morning I might be 6 degrees away. The next morning I might be 5 degrees away. But how I'm doing is I'm going to conferences or I'm going to something that gets me closer to my goal. So you have this list of goals. You can start with 10 strong goals, reasonable goals as it relates to more media exposure, okay? So do we have any questions about goals and how to set them specifically from a media perspective? If so, let me know.
So guys, I have a spreadsheet that I created actually, and you know what? It's really easy to do, but I have a spreadsheet that I created that lists goals. I mean, media outlets that you want to be in. It lists influencers that you want to meet. You can create a very simple spreadsheet, and each column can have that at the top, right? So at the top, the columns going across can have media outlet. The next column can be influence that you want to meet. The next column can be, did you reach out to them, yes or no? And then, you know what I mean? Like, you can set up things like that in Excel that you can watch, that you can look at daily, like April said, and monitor your own growth, right? A lot of times we have these very obscure goals in mind that we want to accomplish, but we never put any sort of framework around them to make sure that we're moving toward them.
Oh my God,
So,
that is such a good point that you said the framework around them.
right.
Um, because, for instance, like just to say that I want to be featured in the AJC, or just to
Hmm.
say that I want to be booked on a morning show, that's not enough. You have to research the right outlet and the right journalist, um, and because otherwise you won't even, because once we get to the part of pitching, you won't even know how to pitch that person because you haven't done your research, your due diligence to figure out what does this person even talk about every morning. If you don't even listen to morning radio, I want you to take morning radio off your list, because you have to be, like I said, authentic. You have to be real about this stuff. And it's about, I'm going to say, a minimum of 20 to 30 pitches that producers and editors are getting. every day, every day. I'm talking about minimum. And don't let it be a high profile publication like an Atlanta Journal, which is a major publication in a top 10 market. You live in a top 10 market. So everybody you're a motivational speaker, so is your friend across the street. You're
Right.
starting a church, so is somebody else around the corner. You're starting,
Exactly.
you're opening a vegetarian cafe, so is someone else. So what is it that's so compelling that you think that everybody's going to be running to cover you? Or are you going to be barking on the neck of your publicist if you hire somebody and say, hey, why am I not in such and such? But what is it that you're doing? Have you really done the work? So that framework is very intricate and very integral in you getting the results that you want. Because if you go, let's say you want to be on a V103, be specific. Say, look, I want to be on the evening show. I want to be on Greg's show, or I want to be on morning radio. Okay, so why would I appeal to morning? Morning people are people that are commuting. They're people that are parents, probably people that are maybe 9-to-5ers. It's so many people that you can hone in on and think about stories. We've pitched everything to V103, from new music that's coming out to suicide prevention to breast cancer. Like, you have an open window, but you have to figure out how can this be something that's right for me and whatever it is I am selling. And when is the right time to do it? Another thing that you might want to write down is editorial calendars, and they're readily available. It's not limited to PR professionals like myself. You can go on a lot of these, especially like Long Lead, and Long Lead are like people that you still see on the newsstands. Your
You
upscale
said,
magazine.
April. You're going real
Okay.
fast, and
Okay. Slow me down.
slow it down. So you said
Okay.
long leaf. What is
Long
that?
lead publications. Long lead publications are something that I'm so happy that are not obsolete, but those are the ones that are on the newsstands. You might grab them when you're getting a coffee. You might grab them when you're running through the airport, but it's your Cosmopolitan, it's your Newsweeks, it's your Entrepreneur magazines, your Essence magazine, Upscale magazine. It's publications that are like right now in the month of March. They're in February and March already. Okay, so they've already like built out. If you look at every page in these magazines, you'll see that there's something maybe about community, there's something about health, maybe something about spirituality. And what you can do is 9 times out of 10 go onto their site. You can go to essence.com, you can go to entrepreneur.com, or whatever these different sites are, and you can look for the editorial calendars and what they plan. Sometimes they have the entire year mapped out. They may be like in February, we're going to be very relationship heavy. We're going to talk about surviving after divorce. And let's say that you're a therapist or you offer counseling. You can go ahead and craft a pitch specifically to that editorial, to that editor, to that particular department, and do your research. At this point, like I said, everybody's pretty much reachable. Everybody is at least not even 6 degrees, about 3 to 4 degrees, because you can
Right.
go on Twitter,
Twitter.
and,
Yeah.
and you can go on Twitter, you can
Mhm.
go on LinkedIn, you can find the people you need to find. And you can say, look, I am a licensed minister, I am a spiritual counselor, I wrote a book about relationships, I lost my husband in Afghanistan. Whatever it is going to make them hit you back and say, I want to hear more. Craft that to fit them and see what they write about and see what's coming up. Now, let's say it's not Long Lead and it's something that they got like a blog. We got Huffington Post. We got, so many. I mean, the world is full of blogs. I mean, digital media is at your fingertips. And they have to, guess what, have content every day. New content, 30 days. That's 30 and 31 days every month. And they have different. So your section may be, okay, like if you go on, let's say, like Coco Fab, or you go on to anything like, let's say, a mommy blog, and you're an accountant and you have a finance business. You might say, look, I would like to come on as a contributor, as a columnist on your blog for 4 weeks straight and tell moms how to be, the husbands are working or whatever. It might be a new mom or whatever, how to get our finances in order while I'm, before I go back to work or while I'm at home taking care of the kids. I'm going to be the financial nucleus in my home and create a story about it, because that's going to drive the people, and make it a 4-part. Say, look, I'm only going to give you a little bit this first time. Then next Thursday, come back, I'm going to give you more about how to balance your checkbook and how to turn that double the money that's in your checking account. You're going to keep them engaged. And guess what? At the end, you send them to your site. Okay, let's say over the course of a month you've engaged 115 people. Okay, so your new book is out, and that your whole purpose, your intentional goal with doing this was to get people to pay attention to you as a financial advisor. But guess what? You met a need for the editor because they need content. You willingly wrote, or you're willingly being interviewed by them to add content to their blog. In turn, their audience becomes your audience, and you're able to monetize that because that's your goal. Exposure is about leading to monetization. Otherwise, I don't know why anybody would want to be famous and not have the fortune, okay? So just keep the end game in mind. You got to give a little to get a little, you know? I might say, you know, if I want to get on Good Day is very, very community driven. What can you do as a chef or a restaurant in the community that's going to make Good Day pay attention? You might say, well, look, I want to go and find, I don't know, some students, you know, students who don't have anywhere to go for the holiday season. I'm going to cook for students. Don't you think that's newsworthy? The whole point is, write in all caps, is to make what you're doing newsworthy, because they want people to not sit on Netflix, but to turn on the TV and pay attention to what they're saying on the news, because guess what? They have advertisers, and that's how they eat. They want you to turn on the radio and not just stay stuck on a podcast, and even a podcast advertisers. So everything is about monetization. You want to meet a need. You want to meet a need, so then that media outlet meets your need, which is for more exposure. Okay?
And there's one piece I want to add into that. And this is a piece that I want to make sure that when April makes me famous.
Right. Yes.
But no. Jokes aside, but I want to make sure that you understand that when you get the exposure, it would be ideal and smart to have your business set up that as you get those leads, there is something that you can offer them. Mm-hmm. So let me add another piece to that. There is a way that you can capture the information of the people who are interested in you, right? So can you drive, if you are on Good Day Atlanta, can you drive those people to, hey, go sign up for my free download, so that again, that goes back to what April said, understand your audience. So if you're going in an audience full of, you know, what did you just say, nonprofits or whatever their nonprofit is about, you know that you're going to be talking about that the night before. This may be technical, but I think it's worth it. Can you set up a landing page that says, download my free guide for nonprofits to accomplish XYZ or whatever, right? So that way, two things can happen. Number one, when you're on there, you're getting the exposure from all the people that are watching the show. Number two, you're sending them to a particular website, not your own website, but a landing page. And the third part of that, which is another more deep technical thing, there's something called a Facebook tracking pixel. I know, April, I'm getting too technical. Lord. I know. But I just want to say this because this is helpful. You can set up your website so that when people come to your site, they see your ad over and over and over again, right? Or not even your ad, but they see you over and over and over again. But that's too technical. But again, you want to try to get those things in place, and I won't even try to go into details of explaining that, but all this goes into preparation before you go, which is what I'm about to do, April. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So there you have it. Those are the goals. That's just a little extension, a little bit more banter that we had about the goals, because I just want you to make sure that you're really thinking these goals out, you know, making them solid and effective. Okay. Building rapport with the journalists. I kind of spoke on that, you know, trying to find these journalists, because I mean, maybe you can start with one, big fish, or you can try to go after 5. You know, say, look, you know, I want to go after this podcast host. I want to go after this, you know, radio host and producer. This radio show really fits my demographic. I want to go after a couple blogs and maybe like one long lead editorial publication or a newspaper. And you are going to write it out, and you're going to put it where you can see it, and you're going to go after that information and see what they talk about, who they talk to, who produces for the show, who's the editor, who books the stories, and you're going to tailor a pitch to them. So you might want to first build a rapport by, let's say, it's a lot of people. I mean, everybody's on Twitter. That's just where the correspondents and the pundits are. So let's say you want to make sure you connect with like a Mark Lamont Hill or somebody. You want to make sure you go on Twitter and you are going to borderline stalk this person. You're going to retweet them. You're going to see what they're talking about. You're going to follow their links that they're putting up. You're going to really get to know this person. So let's say, because I mean, even in most settings, if it's radio, if you're having a one-on-one interview over the phone, and especially with something like a podcast, it's important to have a rapport and not to sound cold and stale, because that comes across to the listener or to the reader. You know, they're not going to be apt to stay on the phone with you a long time because you haven't done your homework. You don't even know what they're about. You don't even know, what they're into. Oh, you were at, used to be at Fox, now you're at CNN. So you're doing your work. You're being a publicist. That's what we have to do. We have to engage these people, because it's like, okay, as soon as I hang up, my colleague's calling. And guess what? It's not them. If you thumb through a magazine, it's not that many pages. A lot of them are covered with ads and editorial spreads, okay? And so the rest of it, where we have little bits and pieces that we can actually have as our real estate for media, it's very few and far between. So it's all about my relationships. For me to call a Uptown magazine, to call a Entertainment Tonight producer or somebody like that, a lot of that's relationship, but it started from a day one, building a rapport. I want to be where you are. You may have to attend the Public Relations Society events. You may have to be where the news is. Oh, the Urban League is honoring the top media in the city. It's $40 for a ticket. You may have to buy that ticket because you want to be in the face of the people that could move and shake for your business. They're the people that can put you and give you the coverage and put you on their radio show, and you want to shake hands with them. You want to give them a card, or you want to say, look, I would first like to offer you my services. That's one of the first, if I have clients who have products or services, that's one of the first thing I do is say, look, we're about to go and offer this service to this media outlet. We want to pamper them if it's a salon. We want to cater for them if you're a chef. I remember when I saw an amazing case study when I was working on Housewives and trying to get a lot of that stuff out. Cami Cakes was just launching. And when I tell you this woman was giving Cami Cakes out left and right and nobody knew what a Cami Cake was, but she was bringing cupcakes on the regular to Good Day and Better Mornings and these news channels, and they were eating cupcakes while they were on the radio show. They were eating cupcakes while they were doing a television show or in the makeup room, and guess what? It worked, okay? So you have to have a lot of out-of-the-box thinking to build a rapport. A rapport is not just sending a pitch and saying, hey, would you write about me? No, I'm going to write about April because April and I go to lunch all the time, so I'm going to have a lot more interest in what she pitches me than this cold person who doesn't even follow me on Twitter. Okay, so build that rapport. Start with 5, Start with 5 that ideally suit the need of what you're trying to establish, what you're trying to go after. If it's business publications, if it's spiritual, if it's food and wine or whatever, don't try to eat the whole elephant. I have an elephant on my desk to continue to tell people that you got to take this thing one day at a time, okay? One bite at a time. You can't eat an elephant in one sitting. So start with 5 and figure out how you're going to connect with those 5, okay? Oh my God, this part right here is, I could do a whole webinar on just this, but we'll just glaze over the pitch. Glaze over the pitch. The pitch, to get to a perfect pitch, and there is only perfection in the eye of the person pitching, because that thing's going to change. You know what I'm saying? If you're pitching, like I was telling AJ earlier, someone who's actually, let's say in the sports world, but you're still pitching the same service, it's got to change. And you got to get it out. You got to be able to put that thing on paper, or if you're on the phone and you're trying to cold call, and let's say you actually wake up 5 o'clock in the morning and you're like, I'm determined to try to reach Tanya Mendoza. And that's the head producer for Good Day Atlanta. One of the, oh my God, cachet spots in media, because we don't have a lot of morning shows. But Good Day Atlanta is the one. All right. And so you call her, and she actually picks up the phone sometimes, and you're not ready. Guess what? you might not get another chance because she doesn't always answer the phone. So you have to be ready. Like, yes, my name is Anthony Joyner. I was watching for the past few weeks, and I know that your audience is just like social media illiterate. I would like to really send you my pitch. I won't hold you this morning, but just look for my email, da 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 da. And you got to have that thing down to a science, you know. And whatever you just said in your pitch, your initial pitch, because we stay on the phones all day. This past week alone, for instance, in my office, we had 3 different events. We had an artist that's releasing a new single. We had about 11 things going on. So we were continually on the phone like, hey, just wanted to make sure that you're aware about the event tomorrow. And they don't have time because guess what? Somebody's ringing in or they got a deadline or they're looking at copy. So you're going to get that thing out, get that thing in under 60 seconds, all of the relevant information, run that script yourself over and over and over again before you even make your first phone call. Because you don't have time to be fumbling and sounding unprofessional, because at that point in the world that we live in, that split second, like people barely have time for the fact that the Instagram video went from 15 seconds to 60 seconds. They don't even watch the whole thing. So much less some person that I don't even know calling my phone saying, hey, I want to make sure that you know that I have this book coming out and I know it will appeal to your audiences. And I've noticed that you have a lot of stuff going on with brides, and mine is all about appealing to the new wife, and I'm writing for newlyweds, and I would love to come on and create an opportunity for me to do one-on-one coaching with the brides. Say it quick, get it over with. I'm going to email you. I want to make sure I confirm your email. You have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you soon. Oh, bye. All they're trying to hem and haw and sell yourself on the phone. No, you pitch and close, pitch and close, pitch and close. That's it. And next thing is to put that media kit in a nice little quick follow-up. And don't take forever to follow up. Like if you spoke to somebody at 7, that needs to be out by noon. I'm sorry if you have a day job and you're doing this on the side, then you should wait until you're really going to take what you're doing very serious, because it takes due diligence. That's why we ask for the retainers that we ask for, because the follow-up. I'm trying to get somebody to be interested in something that they don't care about. I want to make them understand that you're making the best body butter. I don't care if they came out with 411 body butters last week. My client has the best body butter on this side of body butter making. You know what I'm saying? So you have to make sure that that pitch and your delivery matches what you're selling, because you want them to talk about you and not the next person. So it's important about what you send in the email, how soon you send it, the follow-up, the rapport you build, and that really, really, really effective less than 60-second pitch. Does anybody have any questions about the pitch? AJ?
I love it. Guys, if you have questions, go ahead and type it in now. I know we're on a roll. I've made a whole little pitch deck and checklist.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And what I'll do, guys, this is something I had before, but if you're interested in pitching yourself, I think it's cool. April, what do you think? To have something like this where you list all the people that you're thinking about pitching?
Absolutely. I love it.
The people you spoke to, if they have a Facebook group, if they have a Twitter name, if they're on Instagram, because you can reach out to them, you can follow them, you can like their stuff, you can share their stuff, you can become relevant in their world. And I've actually done that before, even before I knew April and before I knew all this stuff that I know. I kind of did that. I didn't know what I was doing, but it worked, right? So
Right.
I can share this with you guys.
I am like I said, with project management tools and spreadsheets are like totally invaluable too. Like they'll tell you in my office, I don't care what it is, I need a spreadsheet. I need a spreadsheet because I'm a Post-it note girl. I'm going to write it down. I'm analog and digital. Okay, so I need you to take my analog and put it into a document or into a spreadsheet, because I need to be able to look at this and say, look, I need to follow up with this person. This person was very interested, but I just need to tweak, the angle or whatever. So you need to be as organized and clear and concise as possible, because I'm telling you, when it comes to getting exposure or connecting with people, the window closes so quickly. Don't promise somebody I'm going to send you a care package of my new makeup line and don't send it, and then call them back later. You're irrelevant. You do not matter at all. Pick someone else, because you have set the tone that you have no follow through and you're not serious. So it's very important to keep up with this information, especially if you're doing this in conjunction with still having a family, still, having a day job. You have to be like, this is my PR time. My lunch break on Tuesday is dedicated to this. After work on Wednesday and Thursday and Saturday afternoon, I am my own publicist. So these 10 hours, I need to say, oh, Tuesday I was supposed to make sure that was sent out. So Saturday I'll send an email. Hey, did you receive the care package I sent over? Here are the instructions on how to use that soap. If you've already used it or if you tried it, let me know your thoughts. I would love, to have you go onto my Instagram or whatever. Or you go onto theirs and say, hey, did you receive the package? Just engage, report, communicate, talk, and really try. I mean, if they continue, let's say they don't, 9 times out of 10, they're going to give you some response. I mean, they don't treat, they're like celebrities. They're actually in the business of media. So they need the content. They need to write about people. They need to talk to people. They need to build their audience because they need people listening to them. So they're not going to be apt to ignore you unless you're super busy. Like I said, if you're trying to talk to Oprah or the Whoopi or somebody like that, then, good luck. But if you're starting with your very tangible local media, you can get their attention if you really have something that's viable and newsworthy. Absolutely. All right. We are off of the pitch now, right?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. All right, so getting people to buy in, and that's what I was saying when you have folks that have already experienced your brand. So let's say, okay, and this is, oh my God, my one of my best friends, Lisa Washington. She was on Food Network, and she has amazing organic body skincare line. Plus, she's a chef. So ideally, Brian Cameron was on her target market. And of course, we have that 6 Degrees. She was able to get a care package to his wife, okay, of her product. And it was for the whole family. So you have to be mindful of what is going to get the look for people to buy in, to talk about your stuff, okay? So she created an amazing care package. That's investing in yourself. And it was something for the kids. She was aware. She did her homework. She knew they had 3 kids, the wife, the husband, the whole nine. And she created that. And she also did the homework that there were some issues, like Ryan was having, some blotches, whatever it is, and was using over-the-counter stuff. So she has pure, natural products. He tried them. He loved them. Guess what? He invites her on the show. That's how it works. That's what happened with Cami Cakes. She kept delivering those Cami Cakes until she became a featured person on Good Day. They basically had her as a part of the set for a few months. Cami Cakes was sitting nicely in the middle of the news desk when they were doing coverage. Okay, how can people experience? If you're a designer, hey, say, look, I would like, if the holiday season is coming up, and you know that the news anchors are going to be going to holiday parties, I would like to dress you. I would like to design something specifically for you. Okay, I'm a chef. I just moved to the city. I am definitely I would like to see my website. I would love to cater a meal for you at your office. I'm a dentist. Hey, I would like to do dental cleansing for your office. It's so many out-of-the-box things you can think of in order to get people to pay attention to you. And that is the buy-in. Now, boom, they do it. They have the services. And we have that so many times, and I've worked in the world of reality TV so much. So, there's been services that have been offered to castmates I've worked on for years, from butt enhancement to breast enhancement to teeth whitening to, vacations to massages. And what I've always been able to garner from the client, doing the role reversal part of it, is to get them to talk about it. Like, hey, we need these impressions. Did you enjoy the facial? Did you enjoy the product? Can we get you using the product? Let's get pictures of you using the product. Can we do a video? Can we do a quick 60-second commercial of you coming into the spa and having the full treatment? And that in and of itself is viability for you to go back then to say, well, look, I have Nene Leakes and I have these people utilizing my services, and then it's like, well, this becomes a celebrity service, a celebrity product. Oh, I'm a celebrity coach. I'm a celebrity psychologist. And then you reach a whole broad audience, not only from the social media impressions, from attaching yourself to some celeb or some influencer, because like AJ just showed you that list. You also have to, just like you have a list and a goal for media people that you want to connect with, you need to also add influencers. How valuable is that, AJ? The influencers.
Listen, I mean, and again, a lot of you guys know me already, but for those of you who don't, somehow, I mean, I guess partially intentionally, but a lot of it's because, I mean, I've been kind of deemed like this person that influencers work with. And I promise you, in the last week, 2, maybe 3 weeks, through different channels, I've been connected with someone from So You Think You Can Dance, someone from Married at First Sight, someone from another, you know, celebrity choreographer. Like, people, once you're deemed as that person, it's crazy. Like, I get calls and emails from people on that finger quote celebrity slash influencer level, only because I have worked with other influencers, like, you know, doctors and literally, you know, premium people that are contacting me every day, every day.
Right.
So, you know, once you work with someone and you show them what you can do, you know, the word spreads, and people in those types of circles, and I'm not suggesting that's the only place you want to go, but people in those types of circles, it's purely word of mouth, because they only trust people that they know other people have had success with.
Right. Yeah. So it's very important that you be mindful of that. And it doesn't have to be just, you know, that just happens to be the field that I work in with the celebrities, entertainment, whatnot. But at the end of the day, people do business with people they like. And they like who their people like. Who is their tribe? Who is their circle? So 9 times out of 10, my kid's orthodontist is such and such, and they do an amazing job. Oh, I trust my friend's orthodontist because she had a great experience. My friend, it is relative across all platforms. Think about all the businesses that are referral driven, from doctors to dentists to makeup artists to realtors. Oh my God, realtors wide open. It's because she gave me a great experience. I gathered that information and I wrote about it. You know, and I said, look, I'm going to post you on my Facebook. She helped me get my house. We're going to go Facebook Live when I do my closing. And that in of itself, it builds the impressions. You start getting the followers. Then that realtor can turn around and say, look, you know, I want to do something on business radio about telling first-time buyers how to come back into this market and not have to put any money down. Okay? Very specific pitch. Okay? So just think about those kind of things when you're doing what you're doing, because that's what's going to propel you as a brand forward. You as an individual, your product, your service, or your brick and mortar location. Okay. And the buy-in is when folks start using your stuff, or they start calling you for your services, or they start having you do whatever you offer for them, or they start tuning into your radio station, and whatever it is, they have bought in, and you want to make sure you're capturing those people and you're getting their feedback, so you can in turn say, look, these are my testimonials. People love what I'm doing. You should be writing about me, okay? Now, this is the big one, and AJ has to help me even with this one, okay? Capture everything. You know, all this, well, I'm not really on social media like that. I don't really take selfies. I don't really do videos. Well, you're going to be stuck on hidden, unthought about, untalked about, unexposed, okay? Because everything, I don't care if you don't want to. Like I said, I don't want anybody to be intimidated. I don't want anybody to think they have to eat a whole elephant. But you do need to find that thing that works for you. If Facebook is that thing that works for you, then create yourself a Facebook group or a Facebook business page. Anything that you think will fit for you. Instagram works great for me, especially now they extend the videos, because I do a lot of experiences. I do a lot of events. I do a lot of things where I can say, well, look, this is where I am. This is what I do. Let me capture it. Let me hashtag it. And so now when someone says, look, we need an expert in the area of experiential marketing, an expert in the area of event production, sometimes all they do is hashtag. They search hashtags. I am mindful enough to put my stuff on my social media and hashtag it event production and hashtag it Ask April Love and have live video from an event or a quick testimonial or somebody saying like, oh my God, you better ask April Love. And that in turn is what something I can utilize to get coverage or to get legitimacy, and then I can eventually monetize. Okay. So yeah, testimonials are amazing. If you're a realtor, take pictures of your listings. You know, you take pictures of your listings. If you are a motivational speaker, or if you are you facilitate workshops or whatever, start to create quotes that are uniquely yours and posting them and tagging people. You can be bold enough to tag media. Let's say that you continually, like you find out that a media person just got married or that a media person is pregnant. You start to say, well, look, I motivate moms, and I'm talking about, make sure you are doing self-care, and make sure, or if let's say you do have those body butters, tag moms on there, moms that happen to be, media people. If they come back and say at the bottom, this is great, then say, hey, go back under there and engage them and say, look, I would love to send you a care package. I saw that you have a beautiful new baby boy. I would love to send you, my get rid of your stretch marks cream, whatever you have, but it's all about just being quick to just capture that moment. I just posted my new stuff. Who liked it? Let me go to their page and see what they do. Is there some way that I can engage that person? Oh, the person that likes me happened to be a photographer. Maybe we can barter on something. They can do the new shoot from my media kit, and I can put together a care package for them. You have to really, until you get to the place that the media is calling you, you have to think of so many ways to put yourself out there visually, to get people talking about you, to garner impressions, to become an expert, because that's the goal. I don't care if it's I have a nail salon or whatever, or I have a beauty salon, and you think, oh my God, there's so many salons in the city. There's no way I'm going to get. No, you become an expert. Maybe if you are at a nail salon, you might want to start integrating organic salts. Do your research. Is anybody else doing that in my area, in my zip code, in and around my area? Then I become the expert in organic salts featured at my nail salon. So now I appeal to a broader audience, because sometimes people already have this way, oh, nail salons aren't sanitary. Oh, mine is. I use organic products. And mind you, it's spin, okay? You may only use one organic product, but you're not lying. And it's what you're using to bring the attention to what you're doing. And now you, being one of the 1,777 nail salons in the city, stand out. Because one, you're conscious. One, you're mindful of the fact that, I would love to bring natural products into my salon. So now I have really opened myself up to a whole different audience. Now I can talk about it. I have something that's newsworthy. Same way with salons. What is it that you do with your salon so different? Oh, well, I don't know, we give free haircuts to single moms on Saturday, and we have a babysitting service. So they watch your kids all Saturday afternoon, and if you sign up in time, 10 single moms get their hair cut for free every Saturday, and we offer childcare. Okay, guess who's going to be talking about you? Everybody. So that's what I'm saying. So that's just the point. Capture everything, but make sure that it's newsworthy and worth capturing. Okay? And then the last thing I have for you guys is to expose the exposure. They're writing about you now. Oh, you got 1,200 new followers based upon the fact that you started catering to single moms, okay? And then you started doing special things for whoever, or you held a toy drive at your restaurant over the holiday season. So now you have people paying attention to you. Now you got to talk about the fact that you got exposed. Oh, I would like to announce that I was featured in Atlanta Food Magazine. Oh, I have hey guys, tune in. I'll be a featured guest on Good Day Atlanta on January 17th. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you're listening. Make sure you share this. Expose it, expose it. Tell everybody you know to share this, share this. So then people are tuning into what you're doing. You can even run contests. You can say, look, I'm going to be on the radio with Ryan Cameron this coming Tuesday, and if you're listening to your followers, put up a meme and say, hey, if you guys, are listening and you retweet me or you repost my Instagram, I'm going to send somebody my new book. I'm going to give a 1 hour phone call consultation if you're a life coach or whatever, or a wellness coach or a fitness trainer. Hey, I'll be on there doing exercises on good day. And guess what? If you tune in and you take a picture of the screen and you post it on your page and you put the hashtag, I want to work out with blah, 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 then guess what? I'm going to be training somebody for the entire month of January, blah, blah, blah. Once again, you're building your impressions on social media. You're getting the media attention that you need, and you're exposing exposure. And guess what? You're building all of the testimonials on your website, and you're building your media kit. All of that is building you as a brand, giving you more exposure. And at the end of the day, what did we say? Monetization.
So,
right.
Can I share something real quick on the last couple of things you said?
Yeah.
One really quick way to position yourself as an expert is to create your own platform. A couple of different very simple ways you can do that. And I've been preaching this forever. And I'm not the best at it just because I'm not, but I still preach it. Number one, teach people how to do something. You don't have to physically teach them, but tell people how to do something on some sort of a platform. One of those platforms can be what? Video. Record a video for 5 days in a row and say, you know what, guys, for the next 5 days, I'm going to be talking about branding. So I just want to start out today with blah, blah, blah. Then the next day you say, okay, so yesterday I started out talking about branding and I want to continue the conversation. Here's what you need to know. Day number 3, hey guys, if you haven't had a chance to listen to days number 1 and 2, I want you to go check out those videos. But today I'm going to be talking about blah, blah, blah. That simple effect right there will take you extremely far because, number one, most people are afraid to put themselves out there in any kind of a position to be critiqued, right? Once you do that, then you open yourself up for criticism. So most people respect that position that you put yourself in. Here's another way. Proximity to greatness, right? And even on the, I don't want to get too nerdy or whatever, but on an anatomical level, like when two atoms are close together, the one that is bigger automatically makes the one that is not as big appear to be stronger, right? And that's literally like science. So how can, like what I'm doing these weekly calls with April and with you guys have been on for other calls we had last week with Amy and Delora and all the other guys, Manny. When I'm doing these calls, yes, you know, you guys are learning. Yes, I have other people that are sharing, but guess what? These are AJ's calls. So when you talk about the calls, you're going to remember AJ's calls more than you remember the people that are on it. It's the Saturday Night Live effect or the Oprah effect, right? So what platform can you build in your industry, right, to highlight people who are doing big things in your industry? Who are the people in your phone right now that you can call and say, you know what, I want to jump on this free thing tonight. And look, we're going to be on for 30 minutes. I just want you to talk about these 5. Give them the 5 things to talk about. Make it easy for them, right? Position yourself next to greatness and, you know, next to people who are accomplishing things. You know how much I've learned from April since I've known her in our relationship? It's incredible, right? It rubs off. Like the people, surround yourself with people. I feel like I'm going on this whole tangent, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying. If you can build a platform and highlight other people, and then you add value as well. And I haven't really said a lot tonight other than stuff that I've learned from April, but it makes me feel like it makes me sound like I'm smart, right? But I'm just regurgitating a lot of stuff that she's told me and adding some of my own technical stuff into it. So, you know, Abdullah, Angie, Jinx, Kim, Michelle, like, what is it that you guys can do, or who can you contact, Ursula? Who can you contact to say, you know what, I'm going to start even if it's a teleconference, even if it's a blog post, even if it's, you know, a Facebook Live, right? Who can you contact and showcase them? Because you showcasing them will help position you in the stratosphere. That's my SAT word. But it'll help, you know, make you appear bigger, which is what you want for more exposure. Because then what April said earlier, oh my God, they're talking about blogging and they're talking about this and they're talking about that. Wow, there's somebody that we need to go to for web design, or we need to go to them for online radio, or
Right.
Ursula with with Christian music, right? So anyway, just wanted to add that piece.
Awesome. So yeah, that was good stuff, AJ. But that's the nuts and the bolts of it, guys. Because I mean, of course, it's a lot. It can be very intricate. The whole process um, of public relations, media relations is built on systems and
Hmm.
systems that work. But when you are in do-it-yourself, go make it happen mode, and you know without a shadow of a doubt that you have a product or a service that you're offering that you truly, truly believe in, then you create your system, a system that works for you, that you deem effective, and make sure you're testing that system on a regular basis. If I put that goal sheet out and there's 5 influencers and 5 media people that I would like to meet this month, and then you get to, like, day number 24, you only met two, you need to revisit that system. Something's not working, because there are effective ways to get everything accomplished if those goals are, like I said before, very realistic. Okay? So we have the story. Like I said, you start with your story, and no one can tell your story like you can. Write those goals out, keep them realistic, and make sure that you're holding yourself accountable to accomplishing them. Start to find these journalists, do what you have to do, um, Google things, read up. It's a lot of books at Barnes and Nobles that will tell you how to, think outside of the box and get your mind stirring up on ways to strategically engage those journalists. And then connect with them, stay connected with them, and see where they are, show up where they are, be where they are. Um, Put my list back on the screen, H.
No, I was pulling this up to show your next point. Um,
Oh,
no, go ahead. Your
where was I?
perfect pitch.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Because I closed my screen because I'm looking at your screen.
Okay.
Okay, yes. And building that perfect pitch. And like I said, don't overthink that. Keep that, what I said, in your mind about don't try to eat the whole elephant. But perfect is in the eye of you, the pitcher. But you do have to make sure that you have practiced that thing, you know that thing, you believe in that thing, and you can reiterate that thing in a matter of minutes, okay? Because it's all about, it's based on the principle of being on an elevator with somebody, from going from the bottom to the top floor. In that period of time, they should be able to know everything there is to know about you that you said in the elevator pitch. All right. And then translating that pitch into a written pitch that will go out to that particular person that you were able to connect with. Don't meet an influencer and don't meet a journalist and don't follow up. It makes no sense. Okay. Um,
I wanted to show this real quick, April. I googled this when you said the media kit.
okay.
Look how simple and organized this is. From a quick Google search, everything you want to know about this lady is right here, right in front of your face.
Right. That's
You can,
it. And let me tell you, like, you don't have to, like, don't overthink that thing. I mean, let's say that, and you want it to look competitive, but you say, look, I'm not really, some of you, and then some of you do. You have Microsoft Publisher, you have InDesign, you have easy, they make it so easy now, Canva, all these things, these apps that are just like plug and play. Like, they give you a beautiful design, you plug your picture in. They say, well, look, you want something over here in this column, you create that. But let's say that you don't have, you're just challenged when it comes to design. You're not gonna go off and send something that's subpar. You're gonna find something like a Fiverr,
mm-hmm,
Fiverr.com, or
mm-hmm.
find somebody from a perspective. There's so many reasonable ways to get stuff designed now. If you want to put a couple dollars into something, it's definitely into that, into your marketing collateral materials like your media kit, your business cards, and those kind of things that will be going out to other people, because you want them vibrant. You want them to speak to who you are. If you're like this chef that let's say you specialize in Creole food or New Orleans food, and you send some bland gray little press kit. I need to see all the Mardi Gras colors. I need to feel like, I'm looking at your page and I want some jambalaya right now or some gumbo right now, because you're getting me to buy in, because your packaging alone speaks volumes, okay? Um, and then getting people to buy in. The people that actually like have tried your butter and they've drank your wine, or they've tried on your clothes, or they've been to your boutique, or they've had you do their Facebook ads. Get them to talk about it. Get them to buy in to the point that they are testimonials for you, or they're actually posting about you. Whatever it is going to take those impressions to the next level, and capture everything. Make sure everything anywhere without the camera, or if you're doing an event, let's say you're a wedding planner, have your own, not their wedding photographer, have your own. Make sure you're capturing everything for your particular portfolio. Don't have a gallery on your site and everything on there is stuff that you did 5 years ago. Unacceptable. And expose the exposure. Keep the chatter going. Keep talking about what you're doing. Keep posting about what you're doing. When somebody covers you, you take that and you send it out to your list, or you post it on your page. You thank the editor or the producer or the podcast host personally on your page. Oh, I had a great time interviewing with you today, and put it up. Expose the exposure. And I promise you, we'll be back on a call in a month or two, and you're going to have some amazing case studies and some amazing results. So I've enjoyed this immensely, sharing with you guys, and I appreciate my own personal guru, AJ, for inviting me to do this. I enjoy doing this. I'm passionate about doing this. And
That's
thanks so
it.
much for asking April Love tonight.
That's it. So, hey guys, I want to, again, we're 24 minutes over. April, we appreciate, we respect your time. You gave way above and beyond. And I'll call you back in a minute. But guys, I will talk to you later. And if you have any other questions, post them in the group. If
God
you are not,
bless.
if you have any other questions, post them in the group. Good night.
Good night.